agenda. Members of the meeting wishing to speak to the Planning Commission may do so during public comment or may comment on agenda items during the discussion of each item and must be logged into Zoom. Anyone using abusive, vulgar, offensive, threatening, or harassing language, personal attacks of any kind, or offensive terms that target specific individuals or groups will be muted and removed from the meeting. Please do not abuse this way of providing public comment.
This meeting is being recorded.
And with that, I'll call the meeting of September 13th, 2022 to order. Carrie, will you call the roll?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner Fritz?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Vice Chair Fernandez?
Here.
And Chair Ottinger?
Here.
We have a full complement this evening.
Okay. I don't see any members of the public, but it's time for comments from the public on items not on the agenda. We see anyone else in the waiting room?
I do not see anyone else in the waiting room, and I will note that we did get a couple of comments about so we're doing some outreach before the Libby Park fencing around the pond comes down, and we have received some comments. I know one of them was in the form of a call to the city manager, so if there are any written ones, I will follow up and send those to the commission.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Okay.
Are there statements of conflict of interest from any planning commissioners? I believe we do have some.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Burns?
I have a conflict of interest with the liquor transfer for William Burns.
Okay.
So that's item 6B for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6B.
That was fine.
And I believe, Linda Kelly, did you also have a conflict of interest?
Yes, I have my residence is within the 600 foot diameter for deeming a conflict of interest, and that would be on item 6B.
Okay. And it looks to me that we don't really need to reorder the agenda at any time. Would you agree with that, Carrie, or do you think it's appropriate to reorder the agenda?
We did do that with the intent that we knew we had some recusals. However, there are a couple of regular agenda items and whatnot. I guess it's up to the chair. You can always move that public hearing to the very end if the applicant is amenable to that, or I suspect it's a fairly short item. What we often can do is just ask those folks who are recusing themselves to turn their video off in the case of Debbie and mute yourselves and not participate at all. And then you'll obviously know when it's just like watching it on YouTube rather than being in the meeting. And then you can come back when that item is done.
Okay, I think we'll proceed that way unless I hear of a concern from either Linda or Deborah Burns. Not hearing so.
No, that's good.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue with the agenda. Approval of the minutes of June 28th. I was not in attendance, so I will recuse myself from that. Or abstain. Are there any changes or edits or additions to the minutes of June 28th?
I have one, Linda Kelly here.
Okay, Linda, why don't you go ahead?
I'm trying to pull it up, but I believe it's page 4. And there's a quote by my name that I believe belongs to Commissioner Burns. And I did bring that up to the attention of staff so that it could be in the draft minutes that went to the city council. I did see it in there as a change, but I see this has not been changed. So I'm assuming, Commissioner Burns, that is your comment.
Okay, and so that is Linda, that's the statement where it says it does, but as a small business owner who has been there, done that, dot, dot, dot. And that's obviously
Yeah.
Commissioner Burns, not you. Yeah. Yeah, I do have that corrected in the final. Thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner Fritz, you have your hand up?
Yeah, and maybe this is the same situation because I emailed this to Carrie previously on page 18. Kind of the middle of the paragraph at the top of the page. It should be can't instead of can.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I apologize. It looks like I uploaded the wrong set, but yes, I did get that corrected for
Okay.
the city council's version, and it is in the finals.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. Any others? Then do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of June 28th.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and that is an approval with the changes we've just recited.
Yes.
Okay. Carrie, will you please call the vote?
Or Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Fritz,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fernandez,
Aye.
and Chair Ottinger.
Yes.
Thank you.
Or
very
you were going to
much.
abstain, right?
Oh, yes, you were gonna. And just as a note, you do not need to abstain if you have watched the
Oh,
video
right.
and read the minutes. So you can do either one. So
I will
whichever-
abstain, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Forgot.
Okay, but those are still approved. Thank you. And as you can see, we do have another set of minutes on. We are catching up. I have someone outside doing them, and we will have one, I think, from May on the next agenda. And so we are slowly but surely getting caught up. So sorry for making you all go into your way back, and thank you very much for your patience on these,
Yeah,
especially since some of them are very long minutes.
yes. Are there any edits or changes to the minutes of July 12th, 2022?
Nope.
Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve those minutes? I
I'll
will,
move adoption, approval, not adoption. Of the minutes from 7/12/22.
thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 12th. Is there any comment at this point? And I don't see any, so Carrie, would you call the vote, please?
Thank you. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Fernandez.
I will abstain. That was not there.
Thank you. And Chair Ottinger.
Yes.
Thank you. So that passes 4-0 with one abstention.
Okay, item 5A is a continued public hearing of the smokehouse barbecue permit. Do we need to do anything with that at this point since it has been withdrawn?
So no, you do not need to do anything with that. As most of you know, Larry Vito has decided to retire and sell his business, and he did choose to withdraw the application and let any future owner take it up as a new application and work through that with the commission. So that was sort of closing the loop for you all.
Okay. Commissioner Fernandez?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank John Jay. He did attend the meeting with me there, and he also took it upon himself to go and visit some of the neighbors and kind of see what their what it sounded like there for them, and that may be a future issue that may come up, but I think it was also enlightening for him to do that. So I just wanted to thank him for that, and appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And Carrie, you had mentioned some consideration for moving forward on that property, but it seems like almost anything in the world could happen there. And that wouldn't be good to make some decisions about it now, so.
Right, and I think that's why that made the most sense to staff as well.
Okay. Then moving on to public hearings, the first item 6A is 736 South Main Street, a personal self-storage. And I guess planning
That'll
assistant
be me.
Jay, you have some notes for us?
I do. So this is a request for an amendment to the previously approved use permit at 736 South Main Street, where the Planning Commission in 2020 approved 1,172 square feet of self-storage and 2,100 square feet of exercise facility space within a 3,300 square foot building. The exercise facility portion, or Sioux Circuit, never signed a lease with the applicant due to COVID restrictions at the time, and that space has been since empty. During the meeting, the commission seemed to be okay with adding even an outside or name brand gym company, but was not okay with the entire space being self-storage. With that, staff is requesting the commission provide direction on drafting the appropriate findings for denial. However, if the commission feels that the use is appropriate for the site, then staff is asking the commission continue the meeting to a date certain and provide direction for the appropriate findings of approval. And I do see that the applicant, Sean, is here. So that will conclude my staff report, and I will hand it over to him to provide his report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we want to have planning commissioners ask questions of staff at this time? It seems appropriate to do so. Are there any questions from commissioners to staff? I had one, Carrie, I had asked you the other day whether the city, whether the county is still considering the storage facility to the south of town. It's quite a large facility, and I was wondering if you found out anything about that.
Sure, thank you, Chair Ottinger. They, I did get in contact with the owner of the site, who actually told me he has actually sold the site to someone else, but they are intending on, but yes, they are intending on developing it as a large, I don't know, it's about 50,000 or so square feet worth of self-storage. So that's just for those of you who might not know, that is within the city's sphere of influence. So we do have, you know, some advisory role. However, that site, which is where the Sequoia Burger and the Glass Shop is, and that whole kind of larger, the discount mart, that very large, it's actually a fairly large site. It is in the city's as our general land use, and what we would zone it as industrial, which means that self-storage is allowed there. We did have some comments on the preliminary application that the last owner provided. Most really, I believe some folks had commented on it. At least I conversed with Kathy on that as we were looking through comments. Mostly about frontage improvements for pedestrian bicycle connections and traffic ingress and egress out of it. At that time, they were planning one residential unit for the manager. Their septic is somewhat limited down there. So the self-storage was what they were thinking of. So yes, that has been sold, but it's moving forward at some point, it seems.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any other questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, I will hand it over to the applicant, Mr.
Chair Ottinger.
Oh, sorry, Linda. Commissioner
No,
Kelly.
that's okay. This is for Carrie. Do you know if it has any air conditioned or conditioned space within it, or is this a typical, you know, outdoor conditioned storage facility?
I haven't seen the new application from the new owners. The former was more of the typical outdoor drive up, you know, roll up door kind of storage. I think, I don't know if they had any combination of that included or not.
Did
Okay, thank you.
And of course, that application could go forward, it could end up being abandoned, you know, anything could happen with that. I think, if I recall, the initial application for that was like 3 years ago, so.
Okay, then, Mr. Moaveni, you have the floor. And you are muted currently.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I've also read the staff report, which concluded with a denial. And I prepared and submitted a short letter explaining my position and also a little history of the past 2 years. And I don't know if you gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen have had time to read what I've put in, but basically what the report says is an accurate description of the past, except for the fact that in the 2020 meeting, the consensus was, and the recommendation was, that both use permits were compatible with the location, and there was no issue with either one, and so the request was had no issues with that. But one of the commissioners indicated that it would be maybe improper to issue 2 use permits for the whole space at the same time, and so should limit the 1,170 square feet for storage and the other 2,000 square feet for Sioux Circuit, which at the time was a tenant looking forward to move in because they were requested by South Point across the street to move out. And I had no issues with that, and I agreed, and that's how the use permit was issued. There was no question that both uses were compatible with the location. This mini storage, this self-storage is basically a very small, air-conditioned, wall-to-wall carpeted area with bathroom facilities, sprinklers, fire protection, dust proof, and I wasn't sure whether it was going to catch on, but it has. It's been very popular, and the residents of Sebastopol, it filled up very quickly, and every week we've had a couple of at least requests for vacant spaces, and people line up, and we put their names on, and then if something becomes available, give it to them. When I read Mr. John Jay's report, I find that in all of the headings that he has prepared in his report, from project location and surrounding is compatible with the zoning, general plan consistency is compatible with the zoning ordinance consistency, the request is compatible with zoning. Required findings also says that the location is compatible with zoning. Specifically, it says the establishment, maintenance, and operation of the use applied for will not, under any circumstances of the particular case, etc., harm or be detrimental to the neighborhood. The property has been vacant. This section of the building has been vacant for 5 years. I personally would have always preferred for a tenant to move in, but unfortunately, due to, I presume, the fact that on the one side is Big O Tire and on the other side is Patterson Automotive, it's not a very desirable location for many of the businesses. So during the past 5 years, we've had very, very few, I could say maybe 4 contacts, and none of them have materialized into a business. So on the other hand, the section of the mini storage that I've already started and I've got a business permit for it and it's operating has turned out to be very popular. I mean, if we could ask the 18 or 19 tenants that exist from them, get their opinions, and there's a queue for getting in. And all together, in terms of the overcrowding of self-storages in the area, altogether, this storage has, I think, 18 or 19 units existing, and the expansion will bring in another 15 units. So the total capacity will be 34 units or 35 units. And it's not even comparable with any other air conditioning unit. And it's very, very much more expensive than that because the property expense is extremely high, $33,000 only in property taxes annually. And so it's not a comparable to your regular several hundred units storage facility. And the hours, 8 to 6, are acceptable. And I don't quite really understand why the staff has recommended the denial. So with that, I will conclude my remarks, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And I may add that one of the reasons I came up with the idea is because I own a mini storage in Kotari, which is called Kotari Self-Storage, which is also a very small unit, and it's not part of a chain or anything. I personally own it. I live in Sonoma County, and I thought maybe I could use my experience to bring this unused space to some kind of a fruition.
Thank you. The applicant has made his presentation, and I wonder if any planning commissioners have questions of the applicant. Seeing no hands at the present time, I will open the public comment period.
Sorry, Kathy, I do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wondering, Mr. Mulvaney, do you own the facility across the street, the South Point Storage? And if yes or no, and I just also wondered if you don't, I wondered, how full that facility is.
No, I don't know. I don't own any part of that facility, and I don't own any other storage either than Kotari Mini Storage, which is in the city of Kotari.
Okay.
I own the total of this building, which we're talking about, which half of it is Big O Tire, and the other half of the building is this vacant space.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
Do I see any other hands? Yes, Commissioner Fernandez.
Yeah, you mentioned the storage facility is air conditioned. Is it temperature controlled individual storages, or is it just overall the whole building is air conditioned?
No, the whole building is air conditioned. The building is 2 sections, 2 big floors. One big floor is Big O Tire on the south part of the building. The whole building is a concrete building, 16 feet tall. The north part of the building, which is 3,000 square feet, is a separate. They individually have their own air conditioning unit. It's both heating and cooling. And individually, they have their own electric power. Individually, they have their gas. The water facilities, which is both for irrigation and domestic, 2 lines are shared, and they're part of the common area expenses.
Okay, thank you.
The whole building has sprinklers. The whole floor area has sprinklers. So these storages, they don't go up to the ceiling. And the fire department and the building department came and inspected the development of the 15 existing units, and they approved the facilities, and that there's no impediment to the sprinkler system and the fire protections, and the whole building also has fire monitoring facility, which is supervised and maintained by Santa Rosa Fire Equipment, which is approved by the Sebastopol Fire Department's chief.
Okay. Further questions? Commissioner Kelly, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Nope, sounds pretty straightforward.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
No, thank you so much.
And I have none either. So I will open the public hearing at this time. Are there any public comments regarding this matter from the public? Please raise your hand or indicate otherwise that you would like to speak.
And John, can you confirm the only comment we received was the additional information from the applicant?
Yes, the only comment that we got was additional information provided by the applicant, which was sent to you, the commission, this afternoon.
Thank you.
Then I'm not seeing any hands risen, so I will close the public hearing. And bring it open to discussion on the floor from commissioners. Would anyone like to begin the discussion? I'm not seeing any hands. I see Commissioner Fritz.
Sure, I'll jump in. I know when this came before us previously, I had commented that my preference would be to have some kind of retail, function included. But the fact that the retail function that was proposed at the time didn't materialize, and the fact that this building's been vacant for 5 years, kind of looking at the site again, it's actually, I don't think it's a great retail location, and we have plenty of other vacant retail in town right now that is in a better location. So I'm inclined to allow us to go forward. I mean, it's not really in anyone's interest for this building to be half empty. It seems like there's a need. It's completely full. Additional spaces would probably fill up. It's unique in that it is conditioned, and I'm sure people do appreciate that. And otherwise, I'm sure people are probably going to Roanoke Park or Santa Rosa or whatever to store items. So it'd be nice to have something local. So that's my 2 cents at the moment.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
I would like to just reiterate what Commissioner Fritz just said, which we have a lot of vacancies on Main Street right now, and landlords there are having a hard time getting them rented out. We also have a struggle with getting staff in Sebastopol right now. So a couple of businesses have gone under because they can't staff. Main Street is teetering right now, and it's a real struggle. So I do think that we have enough retail issues just right now with Main Street, and it for after 5 years, if nobody is, opening it, I think that's a great idea. The only thing I would say is, I was wondering if one of the units could somehow, and I don't really know how to envision this, but be turned into more of like, instead of one large unit, cubbies where we could then go to the city and see if we could provide some storage for the unhoused. It's extremely difficult when all of your belongings are on your person all the time. With the climate change and the heat, they can't go to a cooling center and, leave all of their belongings. There's a lot of issues with not having any storage capacity and the safety and well-being of the unhoused. So, this was something I have been thinking about, but now that this came to our attention, I don't know if there's some way that there could be budget, we could raise the funds if that's even something they could do, but I'll just throw that last little piece out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Fernandez?
Yeah, I just had a question. It might have been in the report here, but just also for public information. So regarding storage, let's say trucks coming in, people renting trucks come in there and unload and load up storage. Is that been taken into consideration, and how is the space there conducive to that?
Mr. Moaveni, I believe that question is directed to you.
Yes,
Yes.
The design of the parking lot and the entrance and exit are basically designed for the Big O Tire, which entertains not only big trucks for tires and repairs, but it has delivery trucks at least twice a week, huge trucks that drive in there past the storage down to the Big O Tire section, and they drop the tires and take the old ones. So there's no difficulty for trucks to come in and move on. But in general, the storage units that we've already built are all less than 70 square feet, 80 square foot. This is not a big. We don't have any 10 by 20s or anything like that. So 95% of the vehicles that come in to drop things, customers to take stuff, are at most a pickup size. I personally have not seen a truck come in, but it wouldn't have an issue. But there's no roll-up door there, and there's no truck entrance into the storage. It's a regular door, a regular French door. You have to walk in, pull out this hand trolley and put your stuff on it. There's a hand trolley in there. Take it in and open your storage unit. I submitted a picture along with my report of the units. And you put your stuff in there and you lock it up. Again, it's a regular padlock on a regular door. You walk out the door and the French door closes automatically behind you.
Okay. And has this question to staff, I don't know, has any comments been brought up by Big O or any of the other businesses around that area?
In my short time with this project, I haven't received anything. I'm not sure if Carrie has a little bit more background from the previous use permit, but as of recent, I haven't heard any complaints as far as, not being able to access a storage facility or anything like that.
No, I haven't either. And I think the way that parking lot is configured, there are two entries. So there's one further down, close to Big O Tires. And then there's this entry. The north entry there's a fairly large, if you have a large truck or something coming in, which might actually be more of a Big O client, there is enough space to kind of get around in that parking lot. It's a pretty gentle curve to get through that. That's the start of the curve of the roadway of 116 where it straightens out to go south. So I haven't just visually seen it as I'm going by it all, or from a technical standpoint, see where there would be any issues with that. Again, it's not, RV storage or very, very large storage where you'd have someone say offloading a boat for the seat. My dad lives in Minnesota, he stores his boat in his storage place over winter, but it's not that, the scale of Mr. Moaveni's storage units are not nearly that large. And just as context, I do recall the last time the commission reviewed this, a lot of the concerns were about the hours, both for this, with the potential for noise of moving in and out, as well as the exercise place. And I think, I do know that we haven't gotten any complaints whatsoever about the use. So.
Okay. And just one question for the applicant. You said you had gotten requests from people for storage. Were there specific sizes of the storage that was requested? Like, larger sizes or the sizes that you already have there?
I'm not, I have a manager that handles that, but presumably if they asked for one, she would say, we don't have any. I mean, that's the normal response she would provide. What we have presently, I think the biggest is a 8 by 10. And we have only one of those 80, and somebody wanted it and we built one. Generally we just do 6 by 10 and smaller. There's a couple of 4 by 5s, just 20 square feet. I assume it's sufficient for some people, so that's what they want.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there a plan or is there a way to be able to make those storage spaces adjustable? If someone wants larger space, you can move walls, or is that not realistic? I'm just trying to assess the use of it, and because I personally know, as I'm sure other commissioners or people know, people that store things and they have to go to Santa Rosa or other space, places to get it. And again, it's kind of a wasted trips. I just want to make sure that the storage units being offered are adequate or that meet the needs. But that's kind of just an off comment. It's up to, of course, the owner of the business to make those decisions. But just I'm curious.
When we start doing it, we go with the most popular sizes, which my manager knows, and then we just do those. And remember that this 2,000 square feet that we're asking for additional, at least 500, 600, 700 feet of it would be walkways. It wouldn't all be storage. So we will end up with about 1,300, 1,400, or 1,200 square feet of storage. So like if we build a 100 square foot storage, which is a 10 by 10, we would only have 12 of those. So if we made a 5 by 10, we would have 24 of those at most. There's no possibility. If at the time somebody comes and wants something, we will provide it for them, but that's only if they sign a lease. Our storages are really on a month to month. They give a 1 month notice. Sometimes they don't even provide a 1 month notice. They just move out at the end of the month, and we clean it up and we give somebody. But if somebody wants something which we provide for them and build it there, we would ask for a lease. And yes, to your answer that it is possible. These are all 8 foot high partitions with no roof on top. It's just covered with bars, rebars for safety purposes, because of the fire department requirements that the whole area has to be protected with the sprinklers. So, but we can move the partitions and make it smaller or larger, but I would be asking for at least an 18-month lease, because it would entail some costs to do that.
Okay, thank you. And just a comment to Commissioner Burns and Fritz had said, I would be also in support of, the need and, retail probably not being something appropriate for that site. I think it also kind of helps when it comes to, in a way, affordable housing in smaller units, and being able to move into a smaller unit if you have that storage also available, and could alleviate that. So
Sorry about that.
that's
Sorry, Zach, I'm having an earthquake.
This is really weird because I had a premonition. What would we do? And my first thought was what we did is that we should be sheltering in preparation for an aftershock. Carrie, I really did have a premonition of this and said, what would we do? There are going to be aftershocks. I want to get out of the house. I'm going to say goodbye. Is that okay?
Yes, that's absolutely
I'm
fine.
on a second floor.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely fine. If you
Okay.
need to do something for safety, please go ahead.
Wait, what are we staying on the meeting or what?
I'm on a second floor and my husband's downstairs and I think we need to get out of our building.
I'm gonna say that let's take a 10-minute break if that's okay.
Okay, okay.
And then, so we'll come back at 6:50, if that's okay. Everyone can check on
Okay.
everything and we can see where things go.
Okay.
Totally understandable. This was not a small one,
Okay.
so.
Calm
Yeah.
down.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm in Washington, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Okay,
but I'll-
okay, yeah.
We just had a rather large earthquake. It wasn't like,
Ah.
but it was,
No, it was-
everything was shaking for
Okay.
quite a few seconds.
I'm
You
sorry.
were
Yeah.
Got it.
while it was going on. I'm like, is anybody else feeling this but me? But now it makes sense because you're in Washington. I'm like, wait, why are you
Yeah.
not? What's going on?
Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay.
The recording has stopped.